This osprey was found on August 20th in a town called Irwin, Idaho, after it collided with a power line. Unfortunately, not only did the bird collide into the power line, but it was electrocuted upon impact. Typically, this is something that can happen for birds if they have one wing or one leg that shows an exit and an entry point, where the voltage from the electrocution went through one part of the body and out the other. In the case for this osprey, there was a huge soft tissue wound on the right wrist and another soft tissue wound on the left foot. There was also a lot of necrotic bone in the right wing, meaning that the bone was turning black and dying. That's usually something that occurs when there's not enough blood that's getting into that area of the body, and the tissue that was surrounding those soft tissue wounds was sloughing off, meaning as soon as it was touched gently, the tissue was just falling right off, exposing the necrotic bone underneath. Because electrocution victims typically have issues with circulating blood flow normally, the regions where this bird had a current run through her body were extremely cold to the touch. So her left foot was freezing cold while her right foot was warm and normal body temperature, and her left wrist was normal and felt warm, but her right wrist was super cold to the touch as well. When an electrocution injury occurs to a bird that's this severe, there's really nothing that can be done to save the tissue and rejuvenate the bone that's already decaying and dying. So unfortunately, in the case of this osprey, the most humane option for the bird was to peacefully euthanize, as this was going to be the best possible solution since this bird would not have a chance ever of flying in the wild ever again. Not only that, but the wings of the bird would never function normally if we had tried to let the bone and the soft tissue damage heal naturally. Here we have a great gray owl female that was hit by a car on August 4th in a town called Moran, Wyoming. Now, the interesting thing about this bird is that she suffered a variety of injuries. She was dealing with a broken coracoid, a broken radius, severe eye trauma, and severe head trauma. You'll notice in this photo the left eye looks normal and the right eye, the pupil is completely blown out. And here's another photo where you can see that eye trauma, but also this was when the bird was first admitted, and you can see she's not able to stand, and her concussion was so severe that she stayed in that position for several days on medication and supplemental oxygen. After over a month of supportive care and tons of medications, lots of cage rest, this bird did not end up recovering from the severe fracture that was in her coracoid region, which is highlighted in the larger of the two red circles. So the smaller one shows the fracture in her radius, and the larger red circle shows the fracture in her coracoid. And unfortunately, that bone did not callus back to the normal coracoid bone in a position that allowed for her to fly. So because this bird could not fly, she was not able to return to the wild, and the most humane option for her was euthanasia. One of the really interesting things about her was that when she was admitted, she had a brood patch on her body, and that is something that nesting females will have on their bodies. Essentially, they pluck down feather from their breast area and they use it to keep their nest warm and insulated. And because these birds are quite territorial, a research biologist with the Teton Raptor Center went to look for great gray owls in that region where she was found and found her mate. This is him pictured here. Just so you're aware, these birds do typically mate for life. Next up is a golden eagle that was found in LaBarge, Wyoming, laying in the road, unable to fly away after being struck by a vehicle. The bird suffered a fractured coracoid, trauma to the right eye, and also was found with a heavy endoparasite load. After treating the bird with cage rest, supportive care, fluid therapy, and eventually flight conditioning, as you can see from this photo here, the bird was able to be successfully released after about 50 days in care. One of the most amazing things about being able to release this bird was that the biologists at Teton Raptor Center affixed a transmitter to the back of the bird that tracked all of her movements after they released her. And so you can see on this map here, all of the dots in blue are where she spent some time, and all of the lines show the pathways that she took when she was flying. The last case study is about this northern saw-whet owl that collided into a window in a residential home in Jackson, Wyoming in February. This bird ended up having some mild head trauma and was a little bit dehydrated upon admit. However, after the staff worked diligently to get this bird in good health and condition, he was able to be successfully released back out into the wild where he belongs.